Hey, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Mostly a gray, rainy day happening here today, but everything's getting up to a pretty good charge. Let's take a quick look around and see what that looks like on a day like today where the sun has not made an appearance at all. First one up is my 24 volt backup system at 100% full, as it should be. And what I call my freezer system, running a deep freezer with 500 watts of solar coming in on a 300 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. 95% full, looking good. And in another zone of the house, we've got this one going right here. And currently there's only 27 watts of solar coming in. Let's take a quick look, see what we've got up to today. You can see the max voltage we've hit on the battery, 13.49 right there for 390 watt hours. Still getting a decent charge, but you can see the last few days it's, been struggling to get up to a completely full charge, but it's still within some very acceptable parameters of operating under these conditions, so no problem there either. And in the back on this system, while I hear the rain coming down pretty good right now, that battery reads 90% full right now, but take a quick peek and we're looking at the chins, 2 strings, 500 watt string, on each string. Only 20 watts coming in on the top string and 20 watts on the lower string. So very little power coming in there right now. It's getting darker and more rainy, but still managed to get up to 90% on this system. So all good there too. So yeah, even on a day like this, we're pretty dark, pretty rainy, keeping up with everything, but I've got everything over paneled like I've showed you guys to deal with days like this. So I still keep up and running even though I'm not going to see the sun today. But this is a system I wanted to revisit today. If you've been following the previous videos, you know that I've been playing around with this, trying to figure out whether my inverter was actually failing, whether I had a battery out of balance. So we're going to revisit that a little bit today. And right now we're sitting at 86.5% full. And with 700 watts of solar available, we're only getting, as you can see, 90 some watts. Let's look at the history real quick and see where we're at. As you can see, it's been just kind of like the other systems, been lacking the past few days. And if we look to see what I've got the settings at right now, you can see the absorption voltage now. I've got it at 54.8 and float just at 54. And if you look further back on the log, this is about where we left off last time. I was running higher target voltages of like 56.8, and you can see that I was catching even 58 volt spikes in these days here, and I was still getting that inverter making noise and shutting off. So then I started dropping the voltage down again, like I've mentioned, and there you can see I played with it a little bit lower, and then like right now I've just showed you what I've got it set at, which is, just to go over that one more time, I've got it at 54.8 for the absorption and 54 on the float. And I've been doing that the past few days just because I couldn't be around here as much, and I wanted to make sure I was keeping my refrigerator running, which is plugged into that. So those are the values, and you can see in the past several days, with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 past 6 days, that's what I've left it set at. And you can see I am getting up to like 54.54. And then here's a day right here. This one right here, I did get up into, full absorption and even in the float for a while. at that value. And that was the max it showed was 54.82. So it's been doing good, and I've of course not had any problem with the inverter running at these voltages. You know, 54.3, 54.2, 54.2, which is today. Everything looks good. I'm keeping, you know, the battery up to a nice full charge all of these days, or high enough. But I wanted to go back and show you in the manual, since, you know, in the past, over a week ago when we were back here talking about all of this, I was trying to run the higher voltages, maybe try and see if I had a battery balance issue or whatnot. I got a lot of comments from you guys on where I should be setting my target voltages on this. So let's jump back and look at the manual real quick. So I do have the manual for that battery downloaded. And I do get a lot of different opinions on where I should be setting my target voltage. And I've had some of you say as low as 54, which, you know, I've got it a little over that now and it's doing fine. But anyway, here's what they recommend, 57.6, which is way higher than I've ever tried to do. Now, as you know, I was trying to hit 56.8 as my setting for a long time, and I always got the alarms on the inverter and shut down, and we saw spikes as high as 60 volts. So on what they say on the controller, their recommended charging mode for the 48 volt is 58.4. Again, way higher than I've tried to do. And on the controller settings, again, here's what they want. Charge bulk boost, 57.6 to 58.4. Again, way higher than what I've tried to do. And then absorption, 57.6 to 58.4. It does have overvoltage disconnect, which we have seen 60 volts, which I showed you guys in the previous videos. We just momentarily caught that on the Victron log, 60 volts. And of course, the inverter made all kinds of noise and shut down. Overvoltage reconnect is at 56.8. So that's what they're recommending. And it goes on a little further down in the manual. For a battery charger, use 58.4 volts. Charger to maximize the capacity, recommended charging voltage between 56.8 to 58.4. Seems kind of high to me. The 56.8, okay, but yeah, all the way up to 58.4 seems a little high. And then on their state of charge chart, which we know these are pretty accurate here, you know, and this is at rest, of course. 100%, 54 volts at rest is 100% full. And that's kind of what I've been driving it up to, excuse me, for the past week or so. I get it up to that easily, hold it there all day long. And then when it drops down at night, you know, I'm never dropping down below, you know, the 70th percentile ever overnight. And we'll take a look at the inverter settings, and it says method 1, which is recommended, select 48 volts or 58.4 volts for lithium iron phosphate mode. And then there, charging 58.4, over voltage disconnect 60, over voltage reconnect 56.8, and then some discharging values as well. Of course, I'm never getting it down that low. And then right here, you know, the above setting parameters apply to common inverters on the market, such as Victron, which is what we're using, Renogy, Growatt, Xantrex, Go Power, Lux Power, etc. But we're using Victron, and you know, it's not taking those higher values. And like I said, I've never tried going as high as 58.4. Seems a little high for all of your recommendations and my usage as well. I'm not even going up to 56.8, which I wouldn't mind doing, but I've had to drop it down lower to make everything hum along pretty good. So yeah, I've got it set now for 54.8. It's been doing good, you know, for the past week or so like that. I'm doing fine. I'm, You know, the inverter's staying running 24/7, no problems whatsoever. And right now I'm getting a little peak of sunshine, not real sunshine, but you can see with 700 watts, it's allowing quite a bit more power in than it was a few moments ago. And the voltage is reading 53.76 right now. And, you know, pretty full battery for sure. So, yeah, I've been letting it do that for the past week. And, I mean, everything's running okay. And like I showed you guys, it was, what, 4 days ago, I had, you know, better sunshine for sure. And I was able to get up to my target of 54.8. Everything's been looking good. And then in the past few days, you know, I just haven't had quite enough sunshine to drive it up, you know, to 54.8, but, you know, pretty close, 54. And a lot of you guys have said 54 is just absolutely fine. So yeah, lots of opinions out there. You know, I mean, my bottom line is at this lower voltage, everything's working just fine. My inverter never trips. I'm never catching a weird spike that's making anything go off. And most importantly, I'm able to walk away from this thing if I got to go do a couple of things, and I don't have to worry about my refrigerator getting tripped off. So it's all been working fine, like that. Now, I don't think today's going to be a good enough day to try it, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway because I never really do know if the sun's going to make an appearance. I maybe have a few good hours of sunshine to catch today, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this off, plug this into my backup system, and I'm going to run this up to the parameters that Power Queen wants, and I'm going to see what that makes, if that makes any kind of difference, and see if I can get there today. I'm not sure I can, but I'm going to try. Now, in like last week, I was running it up to 56.8 with nothing running, and I did that for several days to see how that would change anything. Let's go ahead and set it to 57.6. All right, well, we're getting a couple hundred watts. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to 57.6, and we'll give that a whirl. See if we can get anywhere near that today. Zooming right along. Oh. Bear with, we're almost there. Okay, here we go. Oh, went a little too far. Okay, let's do that. Press OK, 57.6. We'll try that for the absorption voltage. Like I said, I'm not sure we're going to get enough sunshine to do that today, but we'll try. Yeah, only at 53.9 right now. I'm going to need better sunshine, but I'll let this go a while and see how close I can get. Because, yeah, I was running it up for, you know, like last week, I was, you know, letting my backup system run that refrigerator and kept that this inverter off completely, nothing plugged in. And I just kept running this battery up to 56.8, thinking that would be a good way to try to balance this battery, but maybe it needs to be a little higher to kind of exclude that that's been the problem. So anyway, I'll be back and see how close we can get to that today. But now there's another little burst of sun coming in, but I do have 700 watts available, and it's, you can see, not quite getting there, but we are up to 54 volts all of a sudden. So good, maybe with the inverter off and nothing tied in. And like I said, I've got my refrigerator plugged into the 24 volt system, which I showed you guys earlier is 100% full. And that's what I was doing, you know, a week or so ago, was letting this run the refrigerator while we ran through 56.8, but we're gonna go a little higher today, hopefully. And I'll just re-look at everything. They don't actually show like a float voltage in their manual. They just say, you know, charge bulk boost 57.6. absorption 57.6. And I currently have that. If we reach that target, we'll try and hold it for a couple of hours. Yeah, it actually says 57.6 to 58.4. We're going to go with that lower value though. And we do have it up to 54.28 is the max so far today. And at the very earliest part of the charging day, of course, that's the lowest my battery has got to be in the past several days, 52.9. And if we look according to the Power Queen manual here, you know, 52.8 is 70% full. So 52.9, you know, 75% full probably is as low as I cycle that battery down to overnight. And 260-ish watts coming in right now. If we can do that the rest of the day, I don't know, we might get kind of close. We'll have to see. Again, inverter's off, no loads drawn whatsoever, so it might get up there pretty quick. It's a pretty full battery, but yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, it's got a ways to go, and that's kind of low light. Okay, guys, it's the next day. We didn't get up to the charge we were looking for yesterday, but we just got up there today. It's just about 11:30 in the morning, and it finally did get up to our 57.6 volts. As you can see there, only taking 4 watts now to hold it there. And here it is right here, and it took 470 watt hours, as you can see right there, to get it up to there. And right when it clicked over into absorption and dropped the voltage, it did shoot up to 59.15. The Victron caught that, and then of course it quickly just settled down to our target voltage of 57.6 volts. And it struggled this morning only because it was so dark and rainy. It just took it a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, but got enough sunshine to push it up there, and now it's just holding it rock steady, 57.6. So just going with the manufacturer's recommendations for this go round. I have no expectations of what to find when this is all done, but we're just going to let it go ahead and hang out in absorption for its full cycle at 57.6, and it'll definitely do that for the next couple of hours easily. And if we look at the trend, this is how we got there today. You can see at the lower left, we started at that 53 something volts, and it was a little erratic getting up there, but that was because of the conditions for sure. And when I go back on the trends, when it went into absorption, I don't see that it, on the trends, we caught that 59 volt spike. I do see a 57.97, and then it bounces around a little bit. As you can see. But if we go to that highest value over there, looks like it's 57.98. Bounces around a little bit, and then settles to where it is right now, 57.6, and just holds that, which it has been doing now for a while. And then I'll get back to where we are live. Yeah, 57.6. So that's what it looked like getting there, and it's easily holding it there now. And if we just look real quick at the amount of solar coming in as it was doing that, and I had fast moving, very erratic conditions from, as you can see right there, 531 watts were coming in, and then it could get very, very dark and drop down to right there, 100 watts on a 700 watt array real quick. And then, you know, it dropped even lower. Throughout this morning, I was seeing as little as 20 and 30 watts because it's been quite dark. And there you can see 80 some watts. And then, you know, the sun comes back out. So that's what it was doing on its way up there. And there you can see 400 and some watts. And then again, you know, real dark, super fast, 500 watts, you know, and then we're getting very close to clicking over to absorption. And then right here is where it did, but you know, it was allowing in the full amount of solar till we hit that target voltage. And then it quickly just dropped, pulsed a couple of times, and getting down to where it takes 4 watts to hold it at that voltage now, which it's going to just do the rest of the time. So that's the day in a nutshell, and we'll see what that holding it at 57.6 as per the manufacturer's recommendations, if we get any kind of different results. Okay, here we are watching it live, holding 57.6, and I'm going to reach right over here and turn this inverter on and see what happens. And this inverter hasn't been liking that, and we'll see what happens now. And look at that, wow. Okay, so now it did stop beeping. It beeped for a second, and what did that do? That went all the way down to 41.78 volts. I could see that. And here it comes back up. Yeah, that inverter doesn't like that, does it? No. Okay, I'm gonna need both hands to go. It's actually, yeah, doesn't like that at all. Okay, let's see what happens now with it off. Oh, we got a lot of crazy stuff going on there, didn't we? So let's go here. If I can scroll back. Oh yeah, just all over the place, right? All over the place. And let's quickly see what our, holding it right at 57.6, same 4 watts that it needs to do that. Let's go back to that trend. And there we can see right there, it's got settled back down onto 57.6. But yeah, with that inverter on, things got really crazy. Okay, well, we can see it went way down. If I try and zoom in here, we'll see some of those values there. 41, it's really hard, very sensitive to catch it right on there. 41. And everywhere in between. But now we can see that it's coming back. Let's go to a little wider view of that. And, oops, I have to go this way. Yeah. Okay, here's the wider view I was trying to get. I needed to get both hands operating here, but so we go back to here, right there. You know, there we were cruising right along. Right there is be 57.6. Okay, turn, and then right there, turn the inverter on. Bam. All the way down to 40. 40 volts. And we, of course, let it run. Keep trying to go on up to 54.6. Held that there for a second. Went up to, oh, there's 61. So that's 61 volts right there. And it went, of course, as we can see, I won't go through the whole thing, but we get the idea, but we did. And then how high does this one go? This one goes up pretty high. 62, almost 63 volts right there. Yeah, that would make everything go off and then bounce, bouncing around everywhere in between. And it just kept doing that. There's another 62. Yeah. Another 62, as you can see. And then here I turn the inverter off. And now it's just, again, I can go all the way over to where it is actually live. And it's, you know, this whole time the inverter's been off. And I'll catch up to where we're at now. And there it is. There's the actual live ticker of it, 57.6, holding it at absorption. Yeah, but boy, scroll back real quick over the past few minutes. Yeah, it didn't like when that inverter got turned on. Okay, I've gone back into the app, dropped it from 57.6 down to 54.2, and I'm going to press OK. Reset that, which is what I had done for many days up in here, and everything was fine. I was able to run that inverter. So let's see what that, and the voltage has already dropped to 54.78 as you keep it going down. We'll let that get down to 54.2. It should go down here pretty quick. Okay, as it's trying to settle back down to 54.2, it's still holding 54.7, taking it a while to get settled down that low. I'm going to go ahead and click this on, see if it can handle 54.7. No beep. 120 volts running over here, good. Okay, so it handled that. So no problem there. Let's go to the trend, battery voltage, and it's still holding 54.7475. So that's working just fine. You can see it's starting to come down a little bit. Just the few watts that this takes in the on position hasn't quite settled all the way down yet, but we had it up to a pretty high voltage. Let's plug the refrigerator in and let's watch what it does now. Okay, I turned the inverter off, plug the refrigerator in. I'm going to turn it back on, and we can watch and see the panel should start to open up. That voltage should go down. Got up to 120 volts there. It fluctuates on this inverter, 120 to 124 usually. There it is at 122. And typically when I unplug and plug the refrigerator back on, it kicks it into the auto defrost because it senses that there was a power outage, so it defrosts real quick, which pulls about 200 watts. Sometimes it takes that a minute to get going. I don't think it's started that yet, but right now, getting closer to that 54.2, still only 3 watts to kind of get it to settle down there. Okay, I did just hear the refrigerator kick on. Took it below 54.2 volts, of course, and that's the most wattage I can get off of that 700 watt array right now. Pretty dark out there. So it would open up to hold it at 54.2. It's just not getting enough sunshine right now. It's trying, but it's not going to cooperate in that regard. There's just no sun out there right now. And once the sun comes out to cooperate, we can see it takes exactly 91 watts to hold it at 54.2. The refrigerator is in a cooling cycle, which is right now is about 70 watts probably. Give or take, maybe a little more since it went through a defrost, I believe. And everything looks just fine. So there it is. So when I set those earlier parameters yesterday to try to get this up to 57.6, I only left it in there at that high of a voltage for about an hour today. I did not let it finish its complete absorption cycle before I started experimenting with the inverter again. I don't know if that would have made a big difference letting it go another hour, if at that higher voltage it was, you know, gonna balance the cells differently than what I do when I have it at this voltage. I mean, I can always get to 100% full. It sits there for a couple of hours there and I never have any problem. This never chirps or beeps or anything. Everything just runs just fine. And a lot of you have said, you know, that's high enough to go right there on this battery pack. And it was just when I was going back reading the manual, I was like, well, I haven't tried that 57.6, so that's why I headed in that direction yesterday. So I can let it run like this and I have no problems whatsoever. That inverter never shuts down, never beeps, chirps, nothing, and everything looks good. So yeah, I don't know. I still may just put that other inverter in just as another experiment. I'm trying everything I can do to keep from dropping this down and opening it up and testing every single cell. So yeah, just another way of trying to figure things out, and I don't think I really have. I mean, everything runs just fine like this. I mean, maybe let sleeping dogs lie, huh? Okay, here I am on day 3 of this, and I made a little adjustment after doing a bunch more research last night. And let's take a quick peek. We're at 100% full battery, 87 watts coming in, right at 54 volts. We are in float, as you can see, which is what I have set. We have been running the refrigerator freezer, no problem. It's liking what I did, and I'll show you real quick what I did. And I changed it after doing a bunch more research, watching a bunch of other videos last night and reading a bunch of your comments like I always do. And I went ahead and went to 54.4 volts for my absorption and 54 for float. And that seems to be, for my particular system here, just perfect. And from so many other people and so many other videos and comments, 54.4. That's fine. Yeah, the manufacturers you know, recommendations and specs on this, way higher than is going to run this system for sure. I have zero problems now with this. I mean, I got up there easily. Let's go to the history real quick, and we can see today, and seeing I don't get any weird spikes down there. Went right to 54.4, didn't do anything weird. You know, when I was shooting for higher voltages, you know, I'd sometimes overshoot it a little bit. 54.4, perfect. It went right up to that. You can see we started, the lowest value we started with this morning, 53.04. Quickly got to a nice full charge. It held 54.4 for a couple of hours, and now we're just sitting there at float. The refrigerator, try and get out of that reflection. The refrigerator is actually cooling cycle going on right now, so it's allowing 89 watts in to hold it rock steady at float of 54 volts. So this works perfectly for this system, and that's how I'm going to let this baby roll, because for whatever reasons of playing around with all those higher voltages, I could not get everything to play right. So, you know, I guess that's the take home on all of this, is that all of us are running different systems. We have to play around a little bit. I can't see a single thing wrong with running it at 54.4 for my absorption, 54.4, float at 54. Not a big difference between those two. And I don't need a big difference between those two. And I mean, this system is running perfectly. No issues whatsoever like that. So I know this has been a long kind of a series and long-winded, but I'm just showing you guys, like, sometimes you have to play with your systems a little bit. And we're all running different inverters, different batteries, different pieces of equipment. And even with the Victrons, which are fantastic, you still have to play around and kind of work with what you've got, right? But there I am, just holding this at float. I mean, I'm happy with this. No bells, no whistles, no disconnect. Everything's running good. So sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around. Yeah, I was trying for those higher voltages and trying to go with manufacturers' recommendations. And everyone that I ever saw online and most of your comments is like, no, we really don't need to be going over 54 volts really at all. And some like it to be down in 53 or whatever, but, you know, we're just tweaking small amounts here. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. Just holds everything rock steady. Everything's working. My refrigerator, freezer. So I got to be happy with that. So that's where I'm going to leave you guys. That's, you know, weeks in the making of these videos. And this is day 3 of this last go around, where I did go back to the manual. So I'm leaving it at 54.4 for my bulk and 54 for float, or 54.4 for absorption, bulk, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. Okay. Whew. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. But, you know, a lot of you will see, you know, if we showed you all the graphs and everything, it gets a little wild and lots of different information. It makes you think and overthink and everything. But yeah, these are the values I'm going to hang in there with. Everything works just fine like that. And definitely not as dark as it's been the past few days. It's been pretty dark, but like I've showed you guys, still getting by and working just fine on solar. Learning more all the time. I learned a lot on all of this and from all of you. And for that, I appreciate it. Sometimes you almost get a headache, but it's still good fun. All right, everybody. Aloha. Catch you on the next one. Yeah, pretty nice day. I'm happy. Happy with the way the system's working now. Gonna let it ride.